A roof truss has a span of 20 feet 6 inches and rafter lengths 12 feet 6 inches and 15 feet 6 inches. So the question is, how do you know whether this is offsetting or just a regular truss where you can cut it down the middle and cut the span exactly in half? Well, the rafter lengths tell you this. If you have different rafter lengths, then when you draw this triangle, naturally one rafter length has to be longer than the other one. So AKA you must be working with an offsetting roof truss. So 12 feet and 6 inches, 12 times 12 plus 6 is 150 inches. So I'm going to make my shorter rafter length 150 inches. You've got 15 feet, so 15 times 12 plus 6, that's 186. So that's my longer rafter length. And then your span, the bottom, 20 times 12 plus 6 is 246 inches. Okay, so you have no angles. If you have no angles, you must use cosine law. So go to your formula package, go to your trig section, and you'll see cosine law calculating angles. It's the same formula written exactly the same way. It's just depending on what letter you've used. So it doesn't really matter. So if I go back to this and say I call the vertical angle, which is what I'm solving for, which is up here, if I call that A, then I'm just going to use the cos A formula. So if I go back to the formula package, cos A is A squared minus B squared minus C squared. So let's just write that down. A squared minus B squared minus C squared, all divided by -2, and it says BC. So BC. So if I label the rest of this, I'll call this BC. So lowercase letter, this would be little c, this is little a, and this is little b. So you're just going to sub it and solve. So A is 246 squared minus B. I said it was 150 squared minus C, which is 186 squared, all divided by -2b, which is 150, times c, which is 186. So if you've got a really good calculator, you could plug this all in. Otherwise, do this step by step. I would just do the numerator. So what you can do is 246 squared, and then I'm going to hit equals, and then I'm going to go minus 150 squared, and then I'm going to hit equals, and then I'm going to go minus 186 squared, and I'm going to hit equals. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this number down. So I'm going to rewrite cos A each time. So cos A, cos A. So my numerator was 3,420 over, and then I'm just going to multiply those three numbers together. So I've got -2 times 150 times 186. So I get -55,800. So now I'm going to divide those two numbers out. So I'm going to go 3,420 divided by a -55,800. I'm going to hit equals. So I'm going to write this decimal number out. So I've got cos A equals -0.06129. So you want to keep at least 4 decimal places. Now remember, you're solving for an angle, so you're doing the cos inverse. So angle A is the cos inverse of -0.06129. Now, whenever you do cos inverse, doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, but it needs to be 0 point something, otherwise you're going to get an error. So cos inverse of that is 93.5 degrees. So I'll just say 94 degrees just to keep life simple. Number 24 says calculate the remaining angles using sine law. So now that you know that this is 94 degrees, you can use sine law by matching this pair and then just do another pair, doesn't matter which one, and then use the sine law and solve for that angle. And once you've got that angle, um, this specifically says to use the sine law again, so you should be using it twice. So watch out for that because sometimes we do that on the tests, and I'm specifically asking you to do the sine law twice.